Wow. It's not every day the internet provides such precious gems as these. Since, wow, how long, what a journey it's been, 2019. It's just been one disaster after one disaster after one disaster. We had Captain Marvel, then we had Game of Thrones, we've had Terminator Dark Fate, which I have heard by all accounts is terrible, and I've yet to see, but that'll be fun when I get around to seeing it. Anyway, then you get articles, then you get pinged on your phone, and you get news like this, and it just fills you with so much joy. You know, Star Wars is pretty much in the toilet. The Rise of Skywalker trailers and the leaks have pretty much outlined that. And, well, today was kind of a two-punch, if you will, because we had the Mandalorian trailer, which actually looked pretty damn good. And then you get this news. Dumb and Dumber, David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, which is dumber of the two is completely up to you. Dumb and Dumber pull out of Star Wars. Their Star Wars trilogy, which was set to air in 2022, I believe. Yeah, 2022 was the date for when their Star Wars trilogy was meant to air. And they pull out, at a moment's notice, they pull out to focus on Netflix. At least that's the story. I'm going to read you the article and then we'll discuss it. But man, wow, Star Wars has just gone up fucking 2,000 points in the span of 12 hours. Two good pieces of Star Wars news in one day. Who'da thunk it? The last time we had any good Star Wars news was when we heard that George Lucas was writing and directing Revenge of the Sith. Because, wow, Revenge of the Sith, 2005. Amazing time to be alive. Anyway, let's get on to the article. Game of Thrones creators David Benioff and D.B. Weiss pull out of Star Wars trilogy. It was announced in February of 2018, apparently, the Star Wars trilogy that they were meant to be doing. While Game of Thrones was on hiatus, mind you, so, you know. The award-winning creators of Game of Thrones have pulled out of writing a new Star Wars trilogy set to hit theaters in 2022. They should pull out of writing just about anything and fucking grab a mop and start hitting the floors, man. Those two can't write for shit. I've actually got some more videos to make about Dumb and Dumber, two of which will involve season 1. I got some things to say about the pilot episode, and I also want to make a season 1 with the books comparison, because I'm almost done reading the first book. Anyway, but I'm telling you right now that they could never write for shit. Anyway, David Benioff and D.B. Weiss abandoned the plans announced February last year in a statement claiming that they would instead be dedicating their time to a string of new Netflix projects. Now, if you didn't see my last video on these two pair of shit stains, then you'd know that Netflix rewarded the incompetence of these two fucktards with a $200 million multi-project deal exclusively with Netflix. Now, I was wondering how this was going to play into Star Wars, but yeah, apparently, according to Dumb and Dumber at least, go back and watch the video, there's more details in there. Apparently, according to them, they got offers from everyone. Everyone wanted a piece of them. Amazon, Netflix, Stan, HBO, yeah, Lucasfilm, obviously, because of Star Wars. They were getting offers from everyone to do everything. And funnily enough, they settled on Netflix after the plummet of ratings with Game of Thrones and the massive fan backlash. I think it was just before the season finale aired that they signed the deal. And I have a strong suspicion it's because everyone was pulling the fuck out because they realized, wow, these guys suck. Anyway, Netflix is in the toilet pretty much. They only released, the only good thing they've released is El Camino, which just came out. And that kind of got me back into their good books, but that's all they got is Breaking Bad, El Camino. The rest of what they got is shit. Trust me, I checked. And then they're like, you know what we need? We need some publicity. We need to feel relevant again. Let's sign these two idiots. And all I've done is put a further nail in their own coffin. Anyway, they got Dumb and Dumber went on to say, we love Star Wars. When George built it, he built us too, they said. What the fuck are you talking about? What does George Lucas and Star Wars have to do with you? Anyway, getting to talk about Star Wars with him and the current Star Wars team was the thrill of a lifetime. Well, I don't know who to pity more because, you know, Dumb and Dumber are stupid and the current Star Wars crew is full of SJW insufferable cucks. So that would have been an interesting. It would have been good to be a fly on the wall during that conversation. Anyway, and we will always be indebted to the saga that changed everything. Oh, fuck off! All right, you're just looking for something else to cash in on and exploit for your own gain. Fuck off, you fucking leeches. Anyway, but these are only there are only so many hours in the day, and we felt we could not do justice to both Star Wars and our Netflix project, so we are gratefully stepping away. I'm gonna come back to this a bit later on. The duo recently signed a $200 million multi-year deal with Netflix, blah, 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 to produce exclusive content after an intense bidding war between the streamer Amazon and Disney. Yeah, like I said, I think that's bullshit. I think the Disney and Amazon stepped away. They said, yeah, the offer's on the table, but, we'll just, we'll get back to you. We'll get back to you. And they never got back to them. So, all right, we got to choose because our reputation is rapidly sinking. We'll go with Netflix. I don't believe for a second that Amazon or Disney would have kept the offer out. I have no doubt. We'll get to Kathleen in a second, but I have no doubt that those people jumped ship, and Netflix is all they had left. Anyway, but Netflix didn't know that. That's why they still kept the $200 million out. Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy commented on the shock departure in a statement to Deadline. And oh god, this just proves what a fucking airhead this woman is. David Benioff and Dan Weiss are incredible storytellers. Excuse me. We hope to include them in the journey forward when they are able to step away from their busy schedule to focus on Star Wars. Sorry, I think I got all of it out. Well, Disney's been one to award incompetence. Just look at Kennedy's fucking term extension from 2018 to 2021. Now, apparently, David Benioff and I refuse to call them by name. Dumb and Dumber were scheduled to do this trilogy in 2022. That's when it was meant to come out. That's a year after Kennedy's supposed term extension. Now, given the rise of Skywalker and the plummeting state of Star Wars, maybe The Mandalorian will do some good business. I imagine it would. But Star Wars is pretty much in the toilet. And The Last Jedi, we thought that would have been the catalyst to get rid of Kennedy. It wasn't. Disney, Bob Iger being tone deaf apparently, decided to extend her fucking contract. And now we're just waiting for her term to expire. So if this deluded fucking senile old bitch thinks these cunts can tell a competent story, again, I mean, I knew she was retarded for hiring Rian Johnson and giving him the reins entirely his own on The Last Jedi. This just takes it to another level. And this is after, she's given this statement after the Game of Thrones Season 8, which had nothing to do with her company or Star Wars. She's just like, yeah, no, they're great storytellers, and they're just so good at what they do, blah, blah, blah. Kennedy being Kennedy. It just shows how out of touch this woman is and how fucking brainless she is. Man, the worst decision George Lucas ever made. I love George Lucas to death. You guys all know that. The worst decision he ever made was keeping that cunt in charge. Anyway, I hope whatever he got in return, though, was worth it. Good old Georgie boy. Anyway, so what I'm getting at is this is post Game of Thrones Season 8. Kennedy's saying this. She's insisting that it was on their terms, not Lucasfilm's terms. I'm not entirely convinced. I'm thinking it's Disney that's told Kennedy to pull the plug. Kennedy pulled the plug. David Benioff and D.B. Weiss said, yeah, we're going our own way. That's the statement they gave. Kennedy didn't want to burn bridges with them because she still likes them. She said, yeah, no, they're departing. They're focusing on Netflix, so we're just, we're going our separate ways, but we want them back. We can't wait to work with them. And I believe Kennedy's goodwill towards them is absolutely genuine. I'm hoping it's Disney that's grown somewhat of a brain and told them to fuck off against what Kennedy wants. That's my theory anyway. It said the first film of the new Star Wars series by Dumb and Dumber was scheduled to release in Christmas 2022, and then there's going to be, annual 2-year release, 2024, 2025, around the same time period. The three films would have been separate from the main Skywalker saga. Yeah, just about everything Disney's done has been separate from the main Skywalker saga. They like to pretend otherwise, but it's absolutely got the Rise of Skywalker has nothing to do with the Skywalker saga. All right, it's all fan fiction, watered down, imitative garbage that has nothing to do with the original 6 and the OG. Anyway, so that's the article. It's a very brief article, and there's a related link here that says Game of Thrones showrunners slammed for a tone-deaf Q&A. Now, I will tackle that Q&A in an upcoming video because I know how much you guys want my perspective on that. And I did read it before commencing this video. I think they're two separate things, but depending on how the times link up, the Game of Thrones showrunners gave like some sort of Q&A that basically ran their reputation further into the ground. People were convinced that they were just joking. And after reading it, I'm almost inclined to agree that they were just fooling around because nobody could be that stupid to say what they said. Nobody. And I find the timings, the way they link up, to be very curious. Maybe that was the catalyst for Disney to say, "No, pull the plug. These guys are too volatile for our franchise and our brand. They do not know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know when to keep their mouths shut. Whatever we thought of them before, just cut ties and just send them on their way quietly because we do not need them anywhere near Star Wars." They just took the burning car and then poured gasoline on all the surrounding cars and lit the whole fucking parking lot on fire. Because their vessel in Hollywood was already, lit ablaze. They were not in a good way. They were crashing and burning. And then I don't know how they landed this deal. I think it was just an error on Netflix's part. Netflix knows even the mainstream news, like this is from news.com.au, which is a site in, I guess, Australia, my country. They're coming out with, the controversial. They're calling season 8 controversial. No one's deluded. Everyone is not giving Game of Thrones season 8 a free pass. The mainstream media certainly isn't. There's another one included in the article regarding the Q&A that they did. That reporter did not hold back. He said that Game of Thrones season 8 was a disaster. These two have been lambasted for their writing, for being terrible writers. He mentions the petition, the 1.75 million name petition that went up, and I'm glad that season 8 isn't getting the free pass from the mainstream media that The Last Jedi was getting. Anyway, the article goes on down below. It says it's unclear whether Disney plans to continue with the trilogy that Benioff and Weiss were planning, but the Star Wars trilogy from The Last Jedi, director Rian Johnson, is still in the works. Cue the vomit, buckets of vomit. While the Marvel Cinematic Universe producer Kevin Feige is developing a separate movie. Honestly, I'm a little bit curious about that. David Benioff and Dan Weiss exit from their mammoth Star Wars undertaking comes amid backlash from a moderated discussion of their creative strategy on Game of Thrones at an Austin Film Festival. They were awarded 2019 Outstanding Television Writer at the Austin Film Festival on Saturday, which... Why, Austin? Why are you guys retarded? Why... What is with everyone, all of these award shows being fucking backwards, man? Anyway, and afterwards I sat down with the AFF executive director, Barbara Morgan, to take questions from the audience. The final season of Game of Thrones, shortened to just 6 episodes, yep, fuck you too, Dumb and Dumber, received mixed critical reception compared to the previous 7 seasons, but controversially won big at last month's Emmy Awards as the major drama. Now, not to defend Dumb and Dumber, but it was the best outstanding drama. And, I can see how they could have gotten that award. All the horrible writing aside, the moments that were put to film, I can see how that, people have a very shallow taste in what they watch. I can definitely see those moments tugging on their heartstrings and, moving them, so to speak. And the production value was excellent. I can definitely see how they may have gotten that. They may have scraped away with that award, but they certainly didn't win it for writing, and rightfully so. Commenting on their work for the hugely popular series, David Benioff said it was basically an expensive film school. He and Dave, at one point in the discussion, while commenting on how they were very granular in details of individual shots, but often lost sight of the big picture. They recalled how the mother of a baby featured in season 1 was not happy because Dan just kept talking about a close-up of the baby's penis. Jesus, man. Twitter users were understandably not happy about their comments published via a now viral thread by Twitter user Needle and Pen. And yeah, the Twitter thread, I highly suggest you check it out. It is not pretty. Like, not pretty at all. It is something to behold. These guys are really are an upper class of idiot. There's a reason why they're called Dumb and Dumber. That's the reason why the internet is now calling them Dumb and Dumber. A few people started calling them Dumb and Dumber before I ever did. Now the whole internet is. Rightfully so. Anyway, sorry. I might... look, basically the point of what I'm trying to say is this is good news. I don't credit this news to Dumb and Dumber walking away. I think they were sent away behind the scenes by Disney. I don't think it was Kennedy who made the decision. I think Kennedy was instructed to make the decision, but make sure to end it on good terms. Maybe they're going to wait for the dust to settle. Maybe they're going to come back and do Star Wars. I don't see why anyone would turn down Star Wars to do a Netflix project, especially since, the apathy towards Season 8 is what helped with the shitty writing, make it that much more worse. Again, I'm telling you guys, these guys were never talented, never did anything worthwhile unless they had some fucking instruction manual to read off. But they wanted to get out because they wanted to work on other shit, and Star Wars is at the top of the list. Again, I'm going to do a separate video on the Q&A that went down, go in a bit more detail, and this is all off the cuff. I kind of discovered that as I went along, as I read through the article. This, in fact, is happening. Removal from Star Wars. They didn't walk away. This removal from Star Wars is a direct result of that Q&A that they did, where they just let loose on the mic, and who knows what the fuck they were thinking. But the shit that they said, just poured fuel on the fire. I thought they were retarded before, but now I think they need to be fucking committed. Anyway, and yeah, Kathleen Kennedy still doesn't know a good thing if it fucking slapped her in the face and it was a foot long and thicker than a fucking sausage. Nah, she doesn't know what the hell she's doing. She doesn't know what's good and what's bad. So, but I definitely don't think... I think Netflix is stuck because they've already signed the deal. And I think that they were the only ones still with an offer on the table, and I think everyone else jumped ship after Game of Thrones Season 8. And I think Disney's one of them. Disney still had the offer on the table. Disney was still willing to let them do the Star Wars trilogy, but they were like, yeah, we got to keep an eye on these guys, make sure how they conduct themselves, and then this happened, and then they pulled the plug. But again, they didn't want to break it on bad terms. I certainly don't think they're stepping away. Why would you step away from Star Wars? It just doesn't make any sense to me. But they're gone! And woohoo! Star Wars we can have a little bit of breath of fresh air. I mean, Star Wars is already in the toilet, but just, at least, that's one less idiot, two less idiots that are not going to touch that once fantastic brand. Anyway, that's my thoughts on the whole Dumb and Dumber fiasco. I'm sorry this video was a bit all over the place. I thought I had it, again, all off the cuff. I kind of discovered more details as I went along. I thought the article ended, and then I kept reading. I was like, oh, shit, all right, there's more to it. Poorly formatted on the behalf of the news agency. Anyway, so that's the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed. And, yeah, I'll be back with more soon. Cheers, guys. Bye for now. See you next time.